Hello and welcome back to the Hidden Why podcast. Great to have you with me today. This is episode 1151. My name's Leigh Martinuzzi and my special guest today is Amy Duggar King. She's an author, entrepreneur and advocate known for her courage to speak the truth. Her latest book is called Holy Disruptor, shattering the shiny facade by getting louder with the truth. What an incredible story. I'm sure you're going to get some insights from this one that helps you break free from the mistruths, the lies that you may have been living with, and go through a process of healing, self-discovery, awareness, and setting boundaries to help you live a more free, fulfilled, joyful life. That's what it's all about here at the Hidden Why podcast, and I hope you enjoyed my interview with Amy. G'day, Amy, and welcome to the Hidden Why podcast. Great to have you here today.
I'm so excited to be here. It's going to be a great conversation.
Looking forward to delving into the backstory here because I don't really know much about it, if I'm honest.
Okay, well that makes it even better.
It's
That
probably a
makes
good
it a
place to
really fun
start.
conversation. Yeah. I'm excited to dive
So,
in.
so tell us, so you've written a book, Holy Disruptor, Shattering the Shiny Facade of Getting Louder with the Truth.
Mhm.
And this is part of the Duggar family story. You're part of that story.
I am a part of that story. Yeah. The Duggar part of my book is more about childhood and the things that I've had to overcome in order to be the mom and wife that I am today, and just as the person that I am today. But I was on that show. I was on 19 Kids and Counting for 14 seasons, I think, something like that, which is wild. And so I've learned a lot through all the different uh, parts of life for sure.
Right. Fascinating. Exciting. Traumatic.
It's been traumatic. It's been yeah, I think when you really dive into someone's backstory, you get to really see the real them, the real person that they are, and not maybe for how they were portrayed to be. And so that's kind of my case, is that people thought they knew the real me on TV. Some people don't even care, some people are just like, whatever, like, that doesn't matter. But some people really do. And, once you're fed lies on television, which I feel like we've all been fed lies lately, it it kind of just messes with you. And so the truth has always been hidden in my family. It's always been something that's been hard to find. And I'm just not going to live that way anymore.
Okay. So when you say
Yeah.
holy disruptor, what are you disrupting and what are you protecting?
Yeah, so I love that question. To be a holy disruptor means that you are disrupting toxic cycles that are brewing in a family. A bloodline carries so many things that maybe aren't so healthy after all. And so I think we're getting to well, especially me, I think my generation is really saying, like, they're looking at their background and their history and their just who they are as a person and why they are the way that they are, and they're diving in and they're going to counseling and they're doing the really hard work to get there.
Well, so disrupting the lies that happen within the family unit. Is that
Yeah, I think
bringing out the
that a lot of
truth?
people, yeah, I think a lot of people hide behind religion and in order to do sketchy things. And so for me, once I finally realized the truth, there was just no going back.
So tell us a bit of that backstory. Like what brought you involved in the series? I had the series up here. So the series
You're
was
fine.
19 Kids and Counting, right?
It is. Yeah.
So about the Duggar family and their family unit and their children. I think they had like 19 of
Mhm.
them, something like
There's
that.
19 of them. Yes. Yeah.
And you're a
Yes.
cousin, you're a relation to
Um,
the family.
Yep. I'm the first cousin to everybody. I'm the oldest out of everyone. And I was also the scapegoat of the entire reality show as well as in real life. And
What do
I
you
was
mean?
just kind of known, I was kind of known as just being the black sheep, kind of like the one that's like included, sure, but kind of left in the dark a little bit. Like I was always the one that they called me Crazy Cousin Amy, and that was my
Hmm.
title on the show. And clearly you can take crazy in any kind of direction that you'd like to. And so they did. And I do believe that uh so many people, you have to have a villain to be a part of a television show or to be a part of a movie to keep it interesting. And so
So
they
you were the
targeted
villain?
me.
Uh-huh.
I was the villain on the show. They loved me, but at the same time, I was kind of cast aside. Like, we love her, but we're not going to let the kids get in her car. We're not going to let the kids go to her house really and play. We're not going to let her spend the night. We're not going to let her, like, all these things, because they thought that I was a bad example for the kids.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So were you involved
Meanwhile,
prior to that?
yeah, I mean, they're my family. I was very, very close with them growing up for a
Right.
really long time.
Yep.
Hmm.
So you saw this whole TV show fold out. Where was the tipping point for you? When did it become noticeable that the lies and the mistruths were happening, and what was the line in the sand for you that made you realize that, hey, something's got to change?
Well, if you are familiar with the Duggar family at all, you know that scandals are there's quite a few of them that have
Hmm.
gone on in my family. It wasn't until I noticed certain things happening with the girls' behavior and several things that when I asked questions about my oldest cousin, Josh, who is now in prison, I asked questions about, how is it, what's really going on, kind of thing. I was gaslighted. So I've been gaslighted basically my entire time on television, and gaslighted, when the truth matters the most. When truth matters the most and you're completely lied to, at that point, I think you are just covering up the truth to save your own skin and to make you look shiny and happy, when in all reality, that wasn't the case. They
A
were
lot
the
more.
most conservative family, the most ultra conservative family, and they followed a belief system called IBLP, which is the basic life principles, and kind of like a cultish following, if you will. And there was a lot of rules that they kept by. So they were religious. They claimed to be, and yet the rules that they followed were very twisted, and you know, just there was no accountability held for the men.
Okay. So talk about this belief system that they followed to me a little bit more. Can you explain that?
Yeah. So there's a leader called Bill Gothard. He is the leader of the IBLP. They basically target
IBLP.
IBLP. Yeah.
What
They
does that stand
basically
for?
target basic life principles.
Okay. Sorry.
Institute of Basic Life Principles. Yes.
Yep.
They follow these rules, and they are man-made. They take the Bible and then they twist them to kind of make it fit their narrative, whatever that could be. So there's a lot of scary rules in there. Men are allowed to be like not just the leaders of the household, but like the dominant leader who can control what happens inside that home, and he creates every single rule. So it doesn't matter if it lines up with the Bible or not. He's still the leader and he can still do it. And he doesn't have to, there's no accountability held. So you could see how that kind of power, where women are silenced, they're kept small, um, can be used for abuse and so many other ways.
Okay.
So
So
that's what happens.
Jim the father was the dominant force there, or were all the sons in their own
Yeah,
rights?
the sons in their own right, sure, because especially the oldest son is always looked to as like,
Yeah.
patriarchy, right? I mean, I feel like my family should have had, the golf jackets with the crest of the family. I feel like that's very much that would fit them perfectly. Um, yeah, it's just a lot to take in, and I'm
Hmm.
surprised you don't know more, honestly, because it was kind of like it's a big deal. It's definitely been all over everywhere. And I'm not really here to talk about, though, like just the trauma of everything. Everyone knows about the Duggar family. If you read the news, you know about the family, you know about
Yeah.
those things, but more about healing and more about peace and
Hmm.
more about the things that once I realized and I started educating myself and realizing that, like, hey, I don't have to live this way. There's a whole other life I could be living, and it's going to be a good one, you know? And so I did some major changing in my life.
So
And
what was the point for
yeah,
you where you decided that, it was more painful to stay quiet and you started deciding to speak up and
yeah.
telling the truth?
So my oldest cousins, my sweet girls, the sweet girl cousins, they were taken advantage of, and their innocence was stolen from them
Hmm.
by their oldest brother. And that was the first scandal. And I really started looking at, this picture perfect family and realizing that not everything is as rosy as I once thought. And
Okay.
so I write about in my book the bloodline of the Duggar family and just how generational trauma is so real and so prevalent. And you have to do everything you can in order to change history. I mean, you can't really change history, but you can change your future. And so yeah, I wrote all about just the things that I've done and the measures that I've taken.
Okay. And what was that
Yeah.
healing journey for you? How did that look? Like,
Well, it
what were
was
the
really
steps?
hard at first.
No
So
doubt.
when my oldest cousin went to prison for terrible, awful crimes against children,
Hmm.
I was so mad. I was so mad, just devastated, and I just remember shaking and crying
When he
all the
went to
time. I was
prison?
not okay. Yeah, he's in prison. He'll be in prison for the next, I think, like 11 years,
But was
something
there a
like that.
lead up to that point of him going to prison that you were
Yeah,
shaken
I
by,
mean, he
obviously?
definitely, yeah, he's been in trouble several times, but yeah, there was like two big scandals, and then like literally like 7 years passed, and everyone forgave him. Everything was fine. Everything looked like everything was hunky dory. He's cheated on his wife. There's been a lot of things that's happened.
Yeah.
And it broke our family and it divided us really because we all you're either going to ride the fence or you're completely off the fence and you build a new fence away from the other one, right? You got to have a boundary up. And so I'm one of the ones that put a boundary up and just realized that not everything, like I said, is not as rosy as it once was or what I once thought. And so, yeah, all of that happened. And then for 7 years, everything was fine. And, I think I tried to convince myself that uh, you know, loved them, wanted the best for them, wanted to be a part of the family. Things happen, family is forever, that kind of thing. And then I kind of came to terms with family can be chosen. The people that we align ourselves with, the people that show up for us, the people who, care for us on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, are the
Yeah.
people that should be in our lives. And I really started to look at family different and what that term meant.
Okay.
So he went to prison
So this
and
was after the series ended that this all happened?
yes.
Okay.
Well, no, one of the first scandal happened during the show while it was
Oh,
going, while it
okay.
was the number one show on TLC.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So several years later, then you started to really voice the truth of what was happening and uncover rather than masking them.
Yeah, my book is not a tell-all, but
Hmm.
I am considered a holy disruptor. And I think anyone that just, wants the truth to be told, um, darkness can't hide long. The light will always expose it. And I think that's what we're supposed to do in this world.
Yeah. Well,
And so,
that's where I want to go. Like, as far as
yeah.
the steps you took to have the courage to be able to speak up, because there's
Yeah.
probably a lot of people that, whether it's something like you've experienced, TV reality shows that we see this image, but behind the scenes, there's all this other stuff going on that, people just cover up. And the news today, there's a lot
Oh,
of
for sure.
mistruths, happening out there, whether it's social media or mainstream
Yeah.
news. Um, So when you started to tell the truth, how did you feel? And was there consequences for that?
There's definitely consequences for that. Um, yeah, so when I finally found the truth, found out everything was going on, found out that I've been lied to for years, it definitely broke me. Honestly, I felt like I really had a hard time trusting other people. I'm the first one to raise their hand and say, trust issues right here. I got some trust issues,
Yeah.
and that plays a huge part into childhood and all the things. But I realized that generational trauma, if this is not just the first time something like this has happened, it's generational trauma.
Yeah.
And it goes back to my grandpa, and it goes back to my grandpa's dad, and it goes back. And I literally just started to look through my family bloodline of just like, where does this stem from? What
Right.
is all of this? And once I did, I got the answers that I needed, and I was like, I don't have to live like this. I don't have to be this person. So I took some boundaries. I definitely was like, hey, I will no longer accept these people in my life. They've never asked for forgiveness. They've never sent an apology. They've never they've never tried to reach out since all this stuff has gone on. And I was not a victim necessarily, but I was a victim of gaslighting and someone that they, unfairly labeled for
Yeah.
a TV rating, in my opinion. And I'm just not going to be silent about the things that can really change your life, right?
Mm.
And so I wrote a book because I think the lightning bolt kind of hit me, and I was like, wow, if I can change, I can heal, I can move on from family trauma, so can other people.
Yeah. So you think you can break that cycle of the family trauma that gets carried on generations after generation?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I do. I don't think you're cursed to live on whatever your family, has been subjected to. I believe that we have the power within ourselves, and our determination. And if we say no, it's no longer allowed, going down the bloodline, then I think we can cut it off. I think it's like a terrible, relentless weed that we can just hack away at,
Mm.
and we can change it. We can change our future.
Yeah. Well, hack away at, but you sort of want to pull out those roots, right?
For sure. Well, yeah, for sure you have to pull out from the very root, for sure. But as you know, weeds, they grow, they tangle, they twist, they wind around, and some of them are really, really thick, and they're hard to break free from, and
Mm.
they're hard to loosen from the ground. And so you have to do the hard work. You do have to dig into your family past in order to have peace in your life.
Okay. I mean, I imagine there was some struggles in doing that, trying to
Oh, for
move on,
sure. Yeah.
because a lot of people say,
There
oh,
was a
well, just break free from your friends or family, if it's causing you more pain than it's worth, I suppose, but it's easier said than done.
Mhm.
What
It is.
um what practical tools do you have for someone out there that's maybe experiencing this or, connecting with what you're saying to help tell the truth and help move away and heal?
Yeah, so for me, I never felt like I was worthy of the truth, and that I was always like the bad seed, right? So I just really took in words, and it goes stems way back from childhood and all the
Right.
things, which is in the book. But um I learned that how I talk to myself is really important. And so I started writing down on these little note cards, like, I am worthy of the truth. Family loves you. They don't use you. They respect you. They honor you. They're there for you through thick and thin. Um, Family doesn't lie to you. Anyone who lies to you doesn't love you.
Hmm.
And I just started writing those down. And my grandma used to tell me a long time ago, Amy, if someone will lie to you, they'll steal from you. And I believe that is so true today.
Yeah.
If people will lie to you, then they'll steal your joy, they'll steal your peace, they'll steal your trust, not even just items from,
Yeah, it's bigger
from
than
whatever,
just
but
yeah.
yeah, it's more of a spiritual thing. And so I think we really have to be careful of who we align ourselves with and the people that, we allow so close to us.
Hmm. How did you go about uncovering the truth? Because again, sometimes our perceptions are warped by all the trauma and experiences that we've had. What were you doing to find deeper level of clarity?
Well, deep level of clarity came on the television screen. So I was never told anything more than that. I turned on the TV and was shocked and heartbroken by the news.
Right.
So even though I spent so much time with them growing up, everything was hidden from me. I never knew the truth. I never knew there was even a slight problem.
That's
And
amazing how well it's covered up then, huh?
is wild. It is so wild. And scary to think that someone could live a double life so close to you, and yet you think you know them. You go to dinner with them, you hang out with them, you grow up with them, you think you know them. Their personality and the things that they like and things they don't like and things they're allergic to, and you think you know them. And then you realize that it's like a slap in the face, and you don't know that person at all. So yeah, I didn't have to do much digging to find the truth
So
or
it
to
just
find clarity. It slapped me in the face.
so with courage then, so taking the next step to assess what you've done and then I guess do the healing process. What was the backlash for you to start to, distance yourself from the family, tell the truth, speak up? What was the backlash for you? And obviously, you
Well,
probably
I
got a lot of
think it's
support along the way as well.
for sure. Yeah. At first there was a lot of backlash. I had a lot of conversations with my uncle about how, I have just a bad heart, a rebellious, spirit, and I'm not being loyal to the family. And I think a lot of people can relate to that, because there is a family
That was
loyalty
from your uncle.
that's not really talked about. Yeah, it's not
Mm.
really talked about, but it is something that is just like predominant, right? In a lot of families, like to be loyal to the name, be loyal to the people, all that stuff, be respectful, all that things. But I didn't listen to that because I think the people who truly love you, they don't lie to you, like I was saying. And so I was lied to many, 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 many times.
Mm.
And so for that reason, yes, there has to be boundaries in place. I definitely separated myself. And because of that, I don't have a relationship with my cousins as many. There's 19 of them, and I have a relationship with one of them out of 19. So it's like having a daily funeral. You see them online, you see them living their life. They're on Instagram, they're all these places, posting and happy, but I don't know them. They don't know me anymore. And
No.
it's really sad. I hate that it got to that point, but the door is always open if they ever want to have a conversation.
How do you deal with that yourself as far as, that feeling of that you don't talk with them anymore? And I mean, obviously you've put up
Yeah,
the boundaries to
I
keep you
did.
protected and safe. And
Right.
obviously it sounds like you practice forgiveness.
Yes, yeah, no, definitely. I think for me, I'm just pretty used to rejection at this point, which is really sad, and I hate to say that. But they have to, in my opinion, I believe that they have to be loyal to the family name. And there's a lot that comes along with that. And so for me, I would rather choose truth than live in a shiny world where everything is a facade.
So with that rejection and that distancing and the boundaries that you have to put up, it's
Mhm.
hard to do that, particularly at this scale that
Hard.
you're probably experiencing. What are the
Hmm.
tools in your toolbox that you sort of rely upon to keep you not getting down on yourself that, hey, I'm the one that's, um, evil here. What do you do
Right.
to protect yourself there
Well,
and to stay
I
strong and
don't,
courageous?
yeah, well, thank you. I think that for me, I think I'm just wired differently, honestly. I think for me, like, yeah, you can talk down to yourself and you can pull yourself down and, tell yourself how terrible you are and you did this to the family and you're the reason why they don't talk to you. And, you could do all that. I
Mm.
don't, because for me, I am going to be an advocate for children, and I'm going to be an advocate for being a light in this world. And the people that hurt children don't need to be anywhere near me, right? The people that don't protect children in general don't need to be anywhere near me. And I think with, not to go there, but with all the files and everything that are coming to light now, um,
Mm.
I just believe that there needs to be more light in this world. We need to have more of a positive energy of saying, like, we're done, we're not going to accept this. And so that's what I had to do, especially since I'm a mom of myself. And so I have a little 6-year-old boy. And, when it really came down to it, I was just like, do I want these people around my son? And the answer is no. I would not feel comfortable with it.
Of course.
And so that makes it a pretty easy boundary to put up, knowing that I'm protecting his well-being, his future, his memories someday. It's something that he doesn't have to heal from.
So more and more people coming out and speaking the truth, and that's why all these files are coming out now as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think so. It's sickening and awful and utterly evil. But I'm in a way glad that it's being exposed.
Mm. So when reading this book, what do you want? What's the ultimate goal for someone reading this book to take away after reading it?
So I believe that if you disrupt toxic cycles, especially those that have been in your lineage for a very long time, if you disrupt the things that don't bring you peace,
Mm.
or if you disrupt them, you can have the peace that God has always wanted for you.
Right. So we're talking about
Doing
a high level
doing the
of peace and
hard,
joy in life.
yeah, disrupting the toxic cycles, whatever they are, gaslighting, the flying monkeys of other people trying to get you to do something, control, narcissistic abuse. All of that is in my book. A parent complex is in my book. Family is difficult.
Mm.
Family is so difficult, and not to be dramatic, but it really is. It is like it's the hardest topic I think I've ever had to even try to understand.
Yeah.
And so I try to do that in my book, is just clearly explain the things of why boundaries are so important. And I believe that boundaries are holy. You can disrupt something that is not holy, something is not, going to bring peace and joy into your life. And I think if more people did that, then man, they'd wake up and they wouldn't even recognize themselves, because we carry so much of that on us.
Mm. Mm.
The trauma, the baggage, the hurt, the rejection, the just the feeling of like, I'm not worth it. I'm not worthy of love. I'm not worthy of this job. I'm not worthy. We always, I feel like so many people that I talk to are so down on themselves. And I don't believe that's the way that we're supposed to live. You know, life is
No.
short. Life is short. And so you have to heal from the trauma that's gone on in your life, whatever that may be. And it's
Mm.
hard. It's
Mm.
hard to do the hard work to break up those roots, like we were talking about, and dig deep and get them out of there.
Yeah. When you talk about boundaries, I suppose setting boundaries from one family to the other member, where's the compromise come into that? Or is there no compromise? Is it just, hey, these are my
Yeah.
boundaries and
So
accept
there's
it?
no compromise when it comes to me and my boundaries. But for everyone listening, boundaries can look so different for you. Maybe you have a difficult family member and you're at dinner and everyone's around, but you go into the kitchen to get some butter and the family member follows you in there. Maybe it's just setting the boundaries where you're not one on one with a person if you feel uncomfortable, or if they, talk down to you, or if they belittle you in any kind of way, right? Another boundary could be, I only see you at family functions. I don't see you outside of that. I feel like, I'm sure of people as well, where you can handle them for about 5, 10 minutes, maybe an hour, and then you're like, okay, I gotta take a break, right? I feel like everybody knows someone like that, where you're like, okay, you're not really my people, right? You're not really my people.
Mm.
It's okay if those are your family members, and it's okay to set the boundaries that you need in order for that not to affect your happiness in your life.
Yeah. And then what
Yeah, because
about,
families given to us, right? That's there they are. That's just who we have.
yeah.
But that doesn't mean we have to accept them if they're not a healthy person.
And how do you go about communicating the truth in a situation where one person has experienced or perceives the truth differently from the other?
I think that's where counseling comes in. I think that's where therapy comes in. I think just having just a mediator there that can, look at both sides and weigh them out and help you to see each other's side, because we're all different. That's what makes the world go round.
Mm.
The only reason why I have to have this really strong um, boundary in place is because of children. It's because of the things that's gone on that I will not allow in my life. And I won't be around someone that hides behind the cross and does things, but being a religious figure. I think that is the worst betrayal of them all. Is
Yeah.
just someone who considers themselves like a godly person or someone of faith, and yet they're abusive, controlling.
Yeah.
They're
I get
just a
it.
horrible person on the inside. They're rotten on the inside.
Seems like a
You
lot of that
know,
goes on, like that people use religion as a way to cover that, right?
it
And
is
I'm not a hugely
insane.
religious person, but
Hmm.
I've met people out there where they lie, and you go, oh, but you
Yeah,
claim to be
it makes
religious.
you
Like,
wonder. It
why?
makes you
Why
go,
would you
what
lie?
makes you different? Right? I feel like if they say they're a religious person, then you have this feeling like, oh, they're going to be easily trusted, right? They're going to be like a good person. They're going to, have all the
Well, that's
qualities
the
of,
image
of
you
you think
get.
of a good heart.
Yeah.
That's the image. It's really sad when that image is not true. And when it all comes to light, it blows your mind and you're dumbfounded at the fact of like how
But you
how
see it
much
time and
was a
time
lie.
again. Yeah, you see it
Yes,
time and time
it
again.
happens all the time. Churches are
And
crumbling. So many pastors.
everyone seems to just put it sort of behind them and go, oh, let's just pretend it doesn't
Yes,
exist.
right, exactly. But you can be a holy disruptor and you
Yeah.
can disrupt that in order to not have that in your life. And that's what I've had to do.
Do you think that, I mean, I think religion has a big part in our society for human connection. And I think there's so much value there that it gives us. But, there seems to be a lot of this behind the scenes religious stuff that doesn't get spoken about. And, what could religious organizations do to bring that to the front and create that culture of, hey, this is who we are and we're going to actually stand for it and believe it and represent it?
Unfortunately, I think there's a lot of holes in
Yeah.
organizations and these big companies. And the thing is, it boils down to a lot of men have the control and there's no accountability.
Hmm.
You know, they have the money, they have the power, and money talks, right? Money talks. And they can get by with all kinds of things because no one they raise themselves up so high that no one questions them, right? I think that the most perfect person, if you look pretty and perfect and shiny and happy and you look like you've got your whole life together, that's the person I'm not going to trust.
Yeah.
I've seen it happen with people that are not in faith. I've seen people that are, falling down on their knees in worship. And it's like, wow, the people that have it all together, who act like there's nothing going on in their life, nothing wrong at all, and they literally have all the answers to a successful, wonderful life. I think those people are the ones that can't be trusted.
How have you dealt with trust? Because in your situation, you must have a lot of distrust in people. And I believe
I
that trust is the first in any relationship until it's discerned. How have you dealt with that?
No, I agree completely. Yeah, trust has to be earned for me. I keep my circle small for a reason.
Do you find that's
The
like a
people that
challenge that, with that trust has to be earned, that potentially pushing away good people as well? Because I believe bring in everyone until you lose my trust, then that's a problem.
Right. I probably have missed out on a lot of friendships, honestly, because
Mm,
I keep my circle small.
yeah,
Um, but I also just want to protect my son so much. And I
no,
feel like sometimes you don't truly know I mean, clearly, I mean, I hung out with my cousin all the time and I didn't know him at all.
yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
know the things that he was capable of, and the things that
yeah,
he allowed in his life and the things he entertained.
nuts.
And so for me, if I didn't know you, way back then, and you haven't been in I haven't talked to you in years, and that kind of thing, I'm kind of like no new friends. Like I listen, I love people, I will love you, but as far as like letting them in my inner circle, right? I keep that very close. I keep that very protected,
Yeah,
just like my marriage, just
yeah,
like my marriage.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what's next for Amy? How can people best reach out, and what are your goals moving forward? What are you
Oh
hoping
my
to?
goodness. So Dylan and I are actually starting a podcast,
Okay,
which I'm
nice.
very excited about. Yeah, we're really excited about it. So that will be launching soon, and we're going to be talking just all about trauma and healing and how to move forward and go way, way more in depth than I have already. So that's going to be great. And so yeah, I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, I'm kind of wherever social media is. But yeah, my book is available wherever books are sold, and I'm just really excited at the chance to hopefully bring truth and clarity into someone's life
Yeah.
and let them find the peace that they deserve.
Well, hopefully we've done a bit of that today, Amy. Thank you so much for coming on. And
Hope
guys,
so.
listening out there, all the show notes will be at thehiddenwhy.com as always. So check it out there, and links to the book and Amy as well. So jump on there and connect with Amy if you have further questions or want to start a conversation.
Would love it.
Thanks,
Thank
Amy. Have a great
you.
day. Thanks for
You
listening,
too. Bye
everyone.
bye.
Till next time, peace, passion, and purpose. See you soon. Okay, that's a wrap. Thank you so much for tuning in this week to this interview. I hope you enjoyed the conversation we had. Make sure you check it out at thehiddenwhy.com for all the show notes and links to our guest. And if you have any comments, any suggestions for the show, please make sure you reach out as well. Also, would like to just ask a favor. If you do like what you're listening to, if you love what you're hearing, make sure you subscribe, whether you're listening to this on iTunes, wherever it might be. Subscribe to the podcast so you can stay up to date with all the latest episodes, and some exciting changes happening this year at The Hidden Why, including the launch of our new website, which will be updated very soon. So watch this space for that, guys. And once again, live more fully, have more meaning, find more joy. We'll see you around the next interview.